Hey everyone, Aaron here with Elite Watersports. This video is going to be about, unfortunately, water in your bladder. You've crashed the kite so hard that one of the tubes popped off, or whatever the case may be, somehow water got into your bladders. I'm going to show you how to get it out. Before we get started into the video, let's talk about general construction of how a kite is made. On the outside, you have a canvas material that everybody can see, and on the inside is kind of like a balloon that holds the air. And as you fill that balloon up, the canvas holds its structure, similar to a bike tire. Bike tire has an inner tube in it, and then you have the rubber on the outside. So sometimes what happens is that we've crashed our kite so hard, and whether it's the best construction ever of how to connect your struts and your leading edge, sometimes they pop off with constant tomahawks, or if they're just getting old. Another scenario is if you're stuck out in the water and the wind has died, and well, you can walk home or get on a boat or something like that, so you deflate your kite, and somehow that deflate valve gets underwater. There are kites out there that are designed, if you slam it really, really hard on the water, that the deflate will actually push out, and well, kite deflates, water can get in. We always say, like, if that happens, get to your kite right away so that you can avoid too much water intrusion on the inside. But if water does make it to the kite, the first thing that you're gonna realize after you pumped it up, back up on the beach, is that it's gonna be a little bit heavier. You can also feel it in the wingtips, and you can kind of feel it in the canvas if this kite was deflated. How we get that water out is super easy, and don't worry, everybody kind of brings their kites into Elite Watersports for kite repair, and you know, their bladders are full of water and they want us to drain it. That's exactly what we'll be doing. We'll just be draining it, but we're gonna add one step to that. We're actually gonna put some fresh water in it. So I'm gonna show you exactly how we drain it, and also how we put fresh water in it, and why we put fresh water in it. So we've gotten to that point where we know water got into our kite, and that's not good at all. So what we're gonna do is isolate all the struts from the leading edge and figure out where that water is. So I'll go to the struts first, and I wanna make sure that I'm keeping the tips of the struts higher than the bottom. That way we're not allowing any water from the leading edge into the strut itself. We can massage it and actually feel the water inside of it if there is water. And what you're gonna feel is kind of like a bean bag, kind of like a water balloon type feel. If there's no water in the actual strut itself, let's go ahead and isolate it and close it off, especially with those pinch points. So we'll do that to all the struts, make sure there's no water in them, and close them off. Now, what happens if there is water in them? Well, we're just gonna use gravity to our advantage, and we'll drain that water out of the strut and try to lift it up so that it drains through the tube. Now, if you understand how all these tubes connect, it might be better just to go ahead and take off the tubes itself, take off this clamp, take off the tube, and drain it from the strut itself. But if it's not that bad, maybe just drain it back into the leading edge, because you already know that the leading edge most likely has a bunch of water in it. So you're just using gravity to kind of drain it back into the leading edge, or if it's really bad, drain it out of the actual valve itself. Let's go ahead and isolate that one. So we've done 2 struts so far. Let's go to that 3rd strut. Same thing. Make sure there's no water in it. Squeeze it around, really get into this little pocket. If there is water, drain it out. Close that strut off. Now, the leading edge. We have to understand that all that air goes in through one spot, and it's a pretty big hole. We can drain water pretty easily out of that, right? So we're gonna go to the wingtip. Super easy on a small kite, but big kites, you know, same thing. You're gonna raise it up. All the struts are closed. Drain that water out to the center point of the kite. And we're gonna make sure that we keep that center point of the kite now higher than that wingtip I've already drained. Do the same thing. Back over to this side. Draining it. Once I get to here, I usually end up with a good size amount of water, like a good gallon or so inside of it. And well, you'll flip it inside out and drain that water out of the main fill valve. Now, I'm not telling you you're gonna have to take out the bladders or anything. We're gonna do the same thing with the bladders out as it is inside the kite. But what we really have to be careful with is if there's saltwater intrusion. We've seen it before with our kite repair, quite often actually, it creates salt crystals. And salt crystals, as they form, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they actually become pretty sharp. They can put pinholes in your actual bladder. The bladder is pretty weak, okay? So what we do for the next step is actually, after we've drained as much salt water out of there as possible, we'll actually put fresh water in it. In this case, I'm just going to use an example. Instead of having a hose at home, I have this handy dandy sprayer that Tanner loves so much. It's on Amazon for $100 or so, lithium battery. We'll actually take that water and squirt it inside of the leading edge. And I'm not going to do that because this kite doesn't actually have water in it. We're just using it as an example, but you're actually going to put a fair amount of water in here. Remember, struts on this case didn't have any water, but if they did have water, that's when I definitely want to go ahead and disconnect that hose and fill the strut up with water, drain it out. You'll fill the kite up with air, drain it. Fill it up with air, drain it. You do that several times, and just over the course of just using the kite, eventually all that moisture will dry itself out, and then you'll be back to square one. But if you don't drain the salt water and then rinse it with fresh water a couple good times, well, you're gonna create salt crystals, and salt crystals down the road will create even more problems. That's holes in our bladders, and that's a pricey bill, especially when we're finding these little micro pinholes, having to deconstruct the whole entire kite. We don't want to do that. So this is Aaron with Elite Watersports. Hopefully this kind of gave you the little bit of insight on what we do as far as when we get kites in that have a bunch of water in it. Just take your time, drain it, fill it up with fresh water, drain it again, fill it up with air, drain it, fill it up with air, drain it. Do that a bunch of times, and then you'll be back on the water in no time. If you have any other questions, give us a call, 727-800-2202. And if you're ever looking for any other gear, of course, we have a website and we have a whole shop to help you through your journey and finding the right gear for you. Give us a call or give us an email. We're always here. And if not, we'll see you on the water.